Hi there, I'm Lauren with Bold Notion Quilting and welcome to our July free motion quilt along. This is going to be a quick quilt along, so if you're someone who quilts for a living and you're worried about the project taking too long on your long arm, don't worry. This project is nice and small, but it's going to give you a lot of really cool core elements that can help you with your quilting going forward. So we're going to have two different kinds of whole cloth quilts. They're very small, so you can consider it a whole cloth. I just call them placemats because I looked up the size for a placemat and I made a quilt based on that. We're going to have two different options. We're going to have this one, which is a more complex custom quilting type design. I did use a metallic thread for this, and I will probably use a metallic thread when I'm quilting in the video. We'll see how it behaves, but it was really cool to see all of the sparkle and how it all interacts, and I was very excited to get the metallic thread to work. For the second placemat, whole cloth mini, we're going to do some compositional type quilting. So it's still a custom quilting type element, but we're going to practice and talk about taking negative space and breaking it down into different areas and accentuating that in different ways. So if you're joining for our free motion quilt along, in the beginning, this quilt along is only going to be available for the first 2 weeks on our boldnotionquilting.com website and our free motion quilt along group on Facebook. So if you're going on the website, a perk to using the website, you have to create a profile and subscribe to the group so that you can get all of the videos and all of the PDF files and worksheets. So that's a way for me to give you some worksheets to work with as far as mapping out your designs and different practice for the free motion quilting fills. So if you go onto boldnotionquilting.com, subscribe to the group, you'll see a little bouncing button in the top right hand corner that is the play button. Right next to that is a file icon. If you click on that, you're going to see a materials list. You're going to see a PDF for how to map out this design before we get started. The second one is a little more simple and easier to walk you through just on the planning video, as well as a worksheet for how to do the free motion quilting fills. Now, aside from that, our free motion quilt along group on Facebook is amazing. It's going to be a great place for you to go and share all of your progress, ask any questions if anything stumps you, as well as just have some great cheerleaders to cheer you on and get you ready to have some fun. You're working on a project with like-minded individuals who are there for you to help you, support you, and to encourage you, which is my biggest goal for all of this quilting that we do. I want to make sure that we have a fun, safe place to hang out and share our small victories and our big wins. So without further ado, let's continue this video, and what I'm going to do is we're going to walk you through all of the materials that you need, as well as how to mark each individual placemat. So you can make as many of these as you want. I'm excited to see how you guys take them and make them your own, because you don't have to do every single design that I do. You certainly could fill in with different fills and it would look different than anyone else's that's out there. So I'm excited to get started. So let's take a look at the materials. But now what I would like to cover are the materials that you'll need to get started. So you'll need backing fabric, which is going to be 1 yard wide by the width of the fabric long. You're going to need 24 inches wide of the top fabric, which is what we're going to draw our designs on. I suggest that you pick something that you're able to see what you're drawing well. So depending on your marking tool, if you've got really dark fabric, you're going to want to get like a chalk pencil or pen of some kind. Otherwise, I love a good water-soluble and water and air-soluble marker to get the job done. Okay, so then you'll also need some batting. Any choice, any fluffiness, whatever you think you'll like for your placemat. It'll depend on if you're just gonna look at your placemat in your quilting area, or if you're actually gonna use it. You probably don't want anything too fluffy. The flatter the better on that one. And then you will need an inch ruler for marking. I suggest a 24-inch one so you can make your 20-inch outline lines the easiest. Blue and purple markers, like I stated earlier. You're going to want a straight edge ruler for quilting. It'll need to be 1/4 inch thick, and that depends on your machine. If you're doing this at home, then you may not need it to be 1/4 inch thick for a domestic machine, but it depends on the shank of your ruler. the shank of your machine for how thick your ruler needs to be. Then you'll need a curved ruler. You'll be able to do this ruler with the BFF mini curve, no problem. It will be easier to use the quilted pineapple if you would want to get the number 8 of that as well. And I've got both of those available on the website, and all 3 of those. I've got the yellow straight edge on there as well. You will need some top thread. You'll see I've got some metallic here. I'm getting brave. I'm going to try some metallic in this. I loved the hologram thread that I used to make my sample piece, which I don't know if you can see how sparkly beautiful this is. It's really awesome. I love it. Feels really neat and it looks really sparkly. And then I just used some flat green, forest green thread to do this one. So it doesn't matter what thread you pick, make it work for the fabric that you selected. And then you'll also need some full bobbins. I'm going to use some pre-wounds, which if you've never tried pre-wounds for a long arm style machine, these ones are magnetic. So that magnet adheres to your bobbin, kind of suctions to it, the magnetic pull, and what happens is you have minimal backlash, which means you're going to get less extra loops of thread in there. So if you're ever having trouble with that, those will help. If you're using a crazy fine thread like an 80 or 90 weight or a silk or a metallic, you'll want a thread net to put on that cone before you start quilting. Then last but not least, if you have not joined the Free Motion Quilt Along group on Facebook, join that group so that you can have cheerleaders help you. If not, on my webpage on boldnotionquilting.com, you go to the class catalog and you're going to click subscribe to the July class. It's a subscription because it's a free class, so you shouldn't have to pay anything for it. And then in the top right hand corner on the pink bar across the top, you'll see a bouncing play button. Right next to that play button is a files icon. That files icon will have a list of all the materials that you see here. It's going to have this map out for our more complex free motion quilt along designs, as well as a worksheet for how to walk you through all of the free motion fillers and techniques. So you'll have that, and it's easier to print out than the picture that I posted on the Free Motion Quilt Along group. But it's a great place to have all your PDF files. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start mapping out the first of both of our panels. The other thing I wanted to say was if you are doing this as a sit-down quilter, this is certainly a class that you can take as a sit-down quilter, but keep in mind that this is only 24 inches wide, so you're going to have about 2 inches at either end of this placemat. Let's see if I put this out because this is 20 inches. This is about the extra fabric that you're going to have on the side to maneuver your designs. So if you need more on the sides, cut it wider than 24 inches to get both of your placemats on there. If you are a baller and you can do it with no extra on the sides, then do what makes you feel comfortable. If you're a long arm quilter, you don't have to use the 24 inches of fabric. You can use some of your favorite fat quarters if you want, because these are placemat size, so it's 20 by 14 inches wide. So you can use a fat quarter for that as well. It just depends on how comfortable you feel with the amount of space that you have on either end to quilt. So we're going to mark out placemat number 1, the custom quilted placemat.